While there's been much written and said in recent times on the same-sex marriage argument here in Australia, as a gay man I feel that very important aspects of the debate have been sidetracked with rhetoric about religion, tradition, civil unions, equal or human rights, family values, and misinformation being the main focus. What about the mental health aspect? Having come out well before 1985, when homosexuality was decriminalised in this state, I'm fully aware of the stress and trauma this imposes on a person. I'm also fully aware of how that affects your own family, your esteem, and inherently the relationships you enter into. In fact, I even had one senator bark down the phone at me a few years back. You blokes were illegal before 1985. Oddly enough, we were debating his dubious behaviour, and the only way he could denigrate my viewpoint was to bring out the old chestnut, which in essence meant, you're gay, so who cares what you think. So I've been fully aware of the stigma that has been attached to being gay since 1974, and while things have progressed and mainstream society has come a long way in relation to recognising same-sex partners, the debate recently has by and large failed to recognise the toll being gay, coming out to family, failing to have your relationships recognised legally, etc., can have on a person and those around him or her. The current situation where you cannot normalise a gay relationship adds stress not only to the couple involved, but to the family units involved, and in many instances I have known people who have left perfectly good gay relationships and taken women and children as passengers on their journey in life as they try to conform to the expectations of society. Some quite cataclysmic outcomes have emanated from this, with clandestine behaviour, bitterness, family breakups and ostracism all part of the end result. Until such time as there is marriage equality in this country, the last bastions of homophobia will remain in place, and this can have wide-ranging effects in a person's relationship, workplace, family and community. The lack of same-sex marriage equality is the rock that many gay relationships have perished upon. Irrespective of what the naysayers conclude, the great majority of gay people want to see themselves as part of mainstream society. They work, they contribute to the community, and yet they still have to put up with the nonsensical stigma of being deemed as different. This only adds to the pressures on their family unit and causes added difficulties for them in many instances. I can well recall that feeling of being different from the minute I stepped out of the house my partner and I shared in the 70s. I similarly can well recall the snide comments in my workplace, the discrimination and the inherent feeling that went with that, the refusal of my partner's family to accept or deal with me and vice versa, the resulting pressures that placed on our relationship, the banishment from my own family and the embarrassment they felt at my being gay. If there is any doubt about the mental stress and insecurity this causes, then walk a mile in our shoes and see how it feels. Of course there are gay people who do not want to fess up to the mental anguish and stress that being seen as a second-class citizen and outside of the mainstream causes. That is why the debate generally heads down the religious, equal and human rights pathways and glosses over the psychological issues many suffer that are associated with non-acceptance and legal non-recognition. Having grown up in rural and regional Australia, I am fully aware even more of the distress, denial, religious guilt and shattering experience coming out can be for many people, far more traumatic in most instances than is the case for their city cousins. It is for most rural and regional Australian gay people like living in a lazaret. For me, there is no real personal vested interest in the same-sex marriage debate. The prospect of me being married to someone at my stage of life is as remote as a lotto or a Powerball win. However, I do not want others to have suffered the same trauma within their relationships that many of mine and subsequent generations have had to endure. In 2012, this is just a nonsense. In this debate, there has been, to my knowledge, No mention of the innocent women and children that have been taken hostage on many men's journeys, or the innocent men and children that have been taken hostage on the journeys of some women. This is very traumatic for many people. The gay bars, saunas, online dating services and other gay outlets are littered with married men who, while they are bisexual, many are predominantly gay, and family and career issues have forced them to try and conform to a lifestyle that is not their preferred habitat. This is a sexual health issue as well as a mental health issue, and many would not be in that position if legal recognition of gay relationships were in vogue. The sadness I feel for all involved in these situations, and I've personally known many, is quite gut-wrenching. Legalisation of gay marriages will also help the remaining dominoes of homophobia fall quicker. Yes, gay rights issues have come a long way in this country in recent years, and there is certainly no intent being shown from any major political party that this will be in fact wound back from the current situation. The community at large would simply not tolerate that, with the exception of a few small groups mainly associated with religious organisations that have a very outmoded viewpoint and who see the world through a very narrow cynosure of bigotry and speak in jargonistic mantras. Legalising gay marriage is not the impending end of the traditional family unit. Quite to the contrary, it is in fact an opportunity to expand that and stop the unnecessary breakdown of traditional family units through removing the stigma and increasing understanding. My being gay cost me my family. For a period of 19 years, not one member of my family spoke to me or contacted me in any way, shape or form. Yes, it was difficult. Even today, only 2 members of my family have reconnected with me, and that was only as a result of the death of my mother, which I did not find out about until 6 months after she had died. The barriers have to come down for the sake of all gay people. For politicians to be still dancing around this issue like ghosts from the catacombs is simply spineless and an indictment on their worthiness as human beings and leaders. The civil unions cop-out only serves to remind gay people that they are being moved from second-class citizens to business class, but first class still remains an apartheid zone delineated by one's sexuality. Governments in a democracy do not have the right to persecute citizens that are indulging in legal behaviour. Failure by the federal government of Australia to move on this issue is, in many instances, doing just that. Marriage, family and extended family are often the security blanket in which many heterosexual people wrap themselves, and it adds great value, love, comfort and security to their lives in most instances. To deny this opportunity to tens of thousands of Australians simply on the basis of their sexual preference is an indictment on both the Australian Labor Party and the Liberal Party of Australia. It further entrenches the widely held public view that they are now just populist, self-interested and out-of-touch automatons that hold no real interest in anything other than retaining or gaining power. The time for change is now. The ball is in your court.